November 21st, 1916, Britannic, the largest Olympic-class liner, was sailing off the coast of Greece when disaster struck.
When Britannic hit one of the contact fuses on the mine detonated.
Little did her passengers know she would be gone in under an hour. Construction of the Britannic started on the 30th of November 1911 in the shipyard of Highland and Wolff. She was to be the largest of the Olympic class, but her dimensions were still identical. She was 882 feet in length and displaced over 53,000 tons of water and had a gross tonnage of 48,158. For those who don't know, the Olympic class was a class of ships ordered by the famous White Star Line. There would be 3 ships in this class: the Olympic, the Titanic, and finally the Britannic. The White Star ordered these ships to compete with their rival Cunard, and they would go for size and luxury over speed. Britannic was launched on February 26, 1914, and soon after, she would be abandoned as World War I was underway. But in February 1915, when a battle in Turkey left a deadly stalemate, leaving thousands of soldiers sick and wounded, so they needed a way to bring Allied troops back home safely and in big loads. The answer to this predicament was resting in Belfast. On November 13, 1915, the Britannic was officially requisitioned as a hospital ship. Now, this new role needed some modifications, and these included a new coat of paint, the new white hull with a green stripe down the middle and going all the way around the vessel. This was followed by fully yellow funnels, and finally she was fitted with big red crosses. All this was meant for it to be easier to spot the Britannic, and so she was clearly a hospital ship, as it was a war crime to attack a hospital ship. There was a green light that would illuminate in the night sky. Now, of course, her interior was drastically changed. All her facilities and dorm rooms were stripped and replaced with thousands of bunk beds. Now, even after all these modifications, she would be useless without a captain, so this honour fell into the hands of Captain Charles Bartlett. On the 22nd of December, 1915, Britannic was ready to set sail on her maiden voyage. By 11 a.m., the ship pulled into port and dropped her 16-ton anchor. But some of her crew were delayed and wouldn't arrive for another 12 hours. Shortly before midnight, they arrived, and the anchor was raised. Her mission was to go to Mutros, an island off the coast of Greece. With so many sick and injured returning safely to Britain, it was clear that Britannic was perfect for this role. In total, the Britannic successfully completed 5 trips to the Mediterranean, rescuing thousands of victims. On the afternoon of November 12, 1916, she set off on her 6th voyage. But this voyage would be her last. Britannic would be no more. On the morning of November 21, 1916, as the Britannic was sailing off the island off quay, disaster struck. Out of nowhere there was a loud explosion coming from the starboard side of the ship, shaking the vessel. Those in the stern didn't think much of it, but people in the bow knew this was bad. The explosion occurred in the starboard side between compartments 2 and 3. The force damaged the watertight door in compartment 1 and the forepeak. This meant the watertight compartments were taken on water. Water starting sneaking through the fireman's funnel and into boiler room 6. The captain ordered all watertight doors to be closed and a distress signal to be sent out. He also ordered the crew to prepare the lifeboats. Now, in all this, the watertight door between boiler room 5 and 6 failed to close, meaning she was at her limit. But open portholes on the lower decks allowed further flooding, thus sealing the fate of Britannic. The captain knew the ship was doomed and restarted the engines to hopefully beach the ship. But the angle of the ship was too great, so speeding up was near impossible. On deck, the lifeboats were filled but were not ordered to be lowered, but some were lowered anyway, and since the propellers were spinning, it sucked them in, killing most on board. After the engines were shut down, orders were given to abandon ship. Eventually, the Britannic's bow hit the seabed since it was pretty shallow, and in just 55 minutes, the Britannic went under, never to be seen again. Out of 1,125, only 30 died. This number was so low due to the warm sea and professional protocols by the crew. Even still, it's sad to know 30 people lost their lives on a ship such as Britannic, and that concludes the history of Britannic. That's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to subscribe for more future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.